Say it with me. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Hey guys, John with Cheapo Cars and Corners. Today we're going to talk about Mustang bumpers. Now sometimes I like to keep my videos a little bit, let's say, non-car specific, even though I have a lot of Mustangs. I like all kinds of stuff. I like Chevy, I like Dodge, I like BMW a little bit. They have some cool cars. I don't really want to work on them. But lots of companies have made cool cars. Right now I just happen to have a lot of Mustangs. I'm not a brand loyal guy. I actually think brand loyalty is kind of really stupid. You know, if your whole thing is brand loyalty, whatever, but those companies don't care about you. So anyway, let's talk about Mustang bumpers, specifically the variations of new edge bumpers. That's what we're after today. There are 3 different front bumpers from the OE, from Ford. There's 3 different front bumpers, okay? Now, there's different variations of these bumpers that you might see, and you're going to see in this video. And then there's also like Celine and Roush and different things. And I don't have those. I have the 3 variations of the main bumper. And then there are variations off of those. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a V6 bumper. The reason I want to show you guys these bumpers, because I see so many times people that get a nicer car because they'll look into different stuff, like they'll get a Cobra, or let's say they get a Mach 1 because they like the shaker hood. A lot of guys that haven't really been around these Mustang things will get a Mach 1 and say, hey, you know, my wife backed into it, or I bumped something or whatever, and my front bumper's messed up. Where can I find another Mach 1 front bumper? That's a problem, right? So I'm going to try to help and share information with you guys and let you know. I mean, a V6 bumper is the same thing. If you know that, awesome. If you don't know that, hey, you might be looking for a front bumper cover from a Mach 1. This is all front bumper covers too. You know, you might be looking for a front bumper cover from a Mach 1, and you don't have to, because you can get a V6 one or a GT one or whatever. So first off, let's look at a V6 bumper. V6 car is the red, torch red O2 V6 we have, and this is what the front bumper looks like. Okay, it has I'm going to show you here, it has little bars over where the fog lights would be. Now if I go over and I look at a Mach 1, you can see it has no little bars where the fog lights would be, and there's fog lights there. The only difference in the V6 versus a GT and Mach 1, GT and Mach 1 being the exact same, there's one little variation. It's an add-on. We'll talk about that in a second. The only difference is those little bars that go across where the fog lights are. You can cut those out. Okay, you just snip them, and it'll be the color of the polyurethane inside there. So, you know, it is, yes, if you're taking a V6 bumper and you're making it fit a GT or a Mach 1, cut those, sand the little nubs off from where you cut them, then paint it. And that way it'll look the exact same. Okay. The Mach 1, its little variation that it has, and I'll show you here in the video, you specifically pointed out, is the chin spoiler, the black chin spoiler that came on the Mach 1s, and it looks really, really, really good, because I don't like how the front bumpers in these cars kind of angle up. I don't like that. Yeah, and so, you know, it kind of is weird to think, like when the Mach 1s came out, everybody started buying that Mach 1 chin spoiler and putting it on their cars. It just looks good. It does. And so it's kind of crazy to think that, like, there were years with these cars that we didn't have that Mach 1 chin spoiler. There were other companies making little chin spoilers and stuff, but, man, the Mach 1 little black lip, whew, it looks good. Okay, another variation of these bumpers, which also has an add-on piece for a different car. The 99 and 01, I'm going to say 9901, not 99 through 01, because there wasn't a 2000. Oh, I can show that. There wasn't a 2000 Cobra here in the States. There was a 2000 Cobra in Australia. I'll see if I can find a picture and add that. But the 9901 Cobra bumper is the same bumper for each one of those. And it does angle up in the front, but it has a little bit more of a drop down the sides with round fog lights. And you can see that in the picture, okay? The 00 Cobra bumper for Australia it was the same thing, but it had extra driving lights in the front. If I can find one, I'll post it. It's obviously the same thing, just with extra holes cut in it for little extra lights. Now, there is the 2000 Cobra R. And I have a picture here. And if you look at this 2000 Cobra R, you say, well, that's not the same bumper as a 99 or 01 Cobra. It actually is. The big chin spoiler that it has, the big air dam lip that is on the front of it, is held on with Zeus fasteners, and it comes off. And that car was meant to have that big lip taken off when you drive it on the street or whatever, and then put back on to be on the track. So that was meant to come off. When it comes off, I'll see if I can find a picture with one off. It looks just like the 9901 Cobra bumper. It's basically the same thing. It is the same thing. Okay, there's one more variation. So this video, I'm thinking right now it's going to be a little too quick. So I'm going to go ahead and add in hood variations and C-pillars. Magically, we're just going to do it. Okay. Anyway, 0304 Cobra bumpers. That is a specific bump. That's a specific bumper unto itself. Okay. All the fenders on these cars are the same. So if you got a V6 or if you got a Mach 1 or a Cobra and you're looking at fender replacements of V6 fender, it's the exact same thing. Just need you to know that. All right. The Cobra bumper, which I'm showing here, the whole bottom section of it is lower. It has the round fog lights, but then the area between the fog lights sticks down lower because the 0304 Cobras had supercharger, and so they needed an intercooler, and the intercooler needed more airflow, so bigger bumper down there. Now, also, they had more airflow through the main grille as well, the higher up, kind of kidney bean shaped almost grille. The horns on the bumper that stick up beside the headlights on a Cobra bumper, 0304, stick up higher than a GT. Okay? Where there's a little push pin that goes through them, right? And I'll have them on screen, and you can see the push pin. When you put these on when you put one of these bumpers on a car with a GT hood, the hood will hit those horns, and so you actually have to move them back. So what you do, and I can explain this. Maybe I should show it. I don't know. But you take the push pin out, and you lean in on that horn and push it as far back as you can onto the support that it goes into. When you get it all the way pushed back, jammed back as far as it can go, drill a hole, and then put the push pin in there. Okay? It leans those horns back, and then the GT hood can close. On my car, and on some others I've seen people say that their GT hood doesn't hit the Cobra bumper, and then they pop their hood, and you can see little bits of messed up paint. Like, it hits still. Some cars don't hit. On my car, because there's varying tolerances and how they're made, and they're ever so slightly different and stuff. On my Blue Bullet, the hood still hits a little bit, and it does mess up the paint. Not super thrilled with that, and so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I might get a little bit of clear PPF, paint protective film, and just kind of wrap up over there so it has something to rub against, and it's not chipping at the clear coat. Because you break the clear coat, and then you could get more chipping, and we don't want that. So I'm going to do something there. I don't really like that it rubs. The Cobra hoods, the 0304 Cobra hood, of which I'll put on screen here, actually sits up a little higher in the front, so it's a bigger grill opening and gets more air across the radiator and such. And you have the intercooler down lower on a GT or a V6 or whatever. If you do this 0304 Cobra bumper, when you have the bumper off, tape some stuff off and paint your radiator support and everything and all the stuff down there. Paint it black. Hit the bottom of your radiator down there with some black spray paint too. Just make it black inside there, because the years of rocks and sand and stuff blowing in there has kind of chipped away at the paint. And then when you put this Cobra bumper on that has the bigger opening down low for an intercooler, and you don't have an intercooler, and everything back in there is like gray and chipped and different stuff, it really stands out and looks like a pile of garbage. Okay, take some nice black spray paint, flat black, whatever, and just spray back in there when you have that bumper off. Okay, it makes all the world of difference, because when you look through that hole, you don't see something. It's just black, and so it doesn't stand out as much. You're missing the intercooler. Something should be there, but like if everything's gray and chipped and different and looks bad in there, it's going to stand out a lot. You're going to notice it. Paint it black, it just hides, and it's not as noticeable that there's a part missing technically. Now, this bumper that I have is from the place on eBay that sells them for $400 or whatever. They're actually more expensive on eBay. If you go to their website, which is bumpersthatdeliver.com or bumpers which deliver, something like that. Bumpersthatdeliver.com, I think. I got this bumper, and I will have the picture of it folded. Right? This bumper was sent to my house. So I'm talking shipping and tax, and the bumper painted. Okay, painted, sitting on my front porch for right at $400. I don't remember exactly. It might have been 420 or 430. Anyway, it was like right at $400, sitting on my front porch, ready to go. Okay, stuck it out in the sun. it slowly kind of opened up, which was pretty crazy. I might have some video of it. I'll post as many pictures of in my phone as I can find. This was nuts, right? I didn't know paint could flex that much. It was pretty crazy. And I've painted cars and stuff before, right? Been a long time, but I've done it. And even one of my buddies that's painted cars more often and recent than I have, he was blown away by how much it flexed and was able to fold out. And it's on the car. Now, the color match is really good because my car's not faded. It spent most of its life in a garage. The front end had actually been repainted because of rock chips and stuff. So the color match was really good. If your car's faded, they're going to send you new paint, and it might not be perfect. Now, one thing that I have noticed on mine is the True Blue has a little bit of metal flake in it. And on the car, sometimes the light catches the bumper different than the rest of the car, and so the bumper can look lighter than the fender right next to it. And it is the same color, but it's because of how they were oriented when they were painted, and the flake kind of laying a certain way or whatever. I'm doing this with my hands. The flake laying slightly different. You can get that with metal flake paint. So with metal flake, it's good to paint the whole car like together, so you can have all the flake kind of panel to panel being laying the same way. And so it does look like it was painted in a different orientation than the factory bumper. Whatever. Like, it looks good. There's only a couple angles in certain sunlight that you notice that, and I notice it. Most people probably don't notice it. I notice stuff because, like, again, once you get some experience painting cars, you walk up to a car and be like, this panel was painted and they didn't blend it right because right here it's a different color. And then other people go, I can't see a thing. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, the orange peel is different. The color's slightly off and all the things. But, yeah. So if you do want, here's a thing for you. We're going to talk about hoods now, okay? So let me say, if you do want a Cobra hood on a GT bumper without having the gap, because if the horns on the Cobra bumper stick up higher to fill that gap to the hood, because the hood has a higher front opening over the grill, if you want the Cobra hood look, but you still want the GT bumper, you're going to end up with a gap like that between the top of the bumper horns and the hood. There's a hood out there that made by Cervini's, the fiberglass hood. The front of their hood has the contour of a GT hood, but then it has the Cobra heat extractor ducts. So that's a good one to run like on a car like mine. And I might actually run that on my Blue Bullet eventually. That is the hood I want for that car, because the Bullet is an aluminum intake manifold, and so that aluminum soaks up a lot of heat and then dissipates it, because aluminum does that. It transfers heat really well. And so there's a lot of heat that gets to fuel lines and other things, and I would like a heat extractor hood, so the heat that's coming through from the radiator in the front and stuff has a place to escape. Mo better. Okay. Anyway, I might actually do a Cobra R hood as well, but there's now I'll show the Cobra R hood. I'm gonna show it right now. And there's little fins at the back of it that you can take a Dremel and open up, and then have the rear upper part of the hood lets heat out. And so I might do that. I'm not sure yet. I really like the Cobra hood. We'll see. All right, let's talk hoods. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a V6 hood that came on most of these cars, 99 through like 03-ish, okay? And it's the same as the later GT hood that had the fake scoop on top of it. The only difference is they drilled some holes. Now, I'll show that hood right now. The only difference is they drilled some holes and put a fake scoop on it. Okay, it looks better. The early GTs, 99, 2000, didn't have that extra scoop. They just had the same hood as the V6. The 99 and 01 Cobra had its own kind of hood with a single kind of rear-facing heat exhaust vent, but it was closed off. It didn't actually exhaust any heat, but it's a really cool looking hood because there's not a fake scoop on it, and it's one of the kind of the lower profile hoods. I like how it looks. I do think it would look really cool on a car that you want to make more subtle, right? So, like, I actually think it would look good on a green Bullet. That hood has the same front contour as a GT hood and a V6 hood, okay? That 9901 Cobra hood. Now, also, that hood was reused later in 04 on some of the V6 Mustangs. I don't know this for sure. I think it was the pony package ones. If I'm wrong on that, correct me. Okay, so there was V6 Premium, and then later on, right at the end, there was actually a pony package. I think the pony package started in '03. Might have been '04 only. You know the pony package ones because they got all the horse graphics down the side of the door. So, okay, back to hoods. The V6 and the GT, basically the same hood. There's that 9901 Cobra hood that also came on later V6s. Then you have the 0304 Cobra hood, which, like I talked about earlier, has the bigger hole in the front, or it kind of has a slightly higher profile in the front, and then it has the 2 heat extractor vents. It's really awesome. One of the best looking hoods for those cars. And then also, let's not forget the 00 Cobra R hood, which I'll show here. Really cool looking. You can open up the back of the little fins to have heat extraction. The reason that hood is tall as it is as tall as it is because the Cobra R ran a 5.4, which if you know old school cars, it'd be like it's not a big block, but let's call it the 5.4 was like a tall deck 4.6. So you have 4.6 V8 and a taller deck, so the heads are slightly higher and moved out further, and that was the 5.4. So if you know your old Chevy's like a tall deck 427 or something like that, right? And we can't forget about probably my favorite hood, the Cobra hood. The 0304 Cobra hood looks great, but probably my favorite is the Mach 1 hood. I love shakers. I really do. I love shakers. I'll stick up through and shake around. The shaker hood only came on the 0304 Mach 1, okay? I've got 2 of them. I have a Mach 1 with its hood. And then I found a guy that had ones that were already painted, the 01 Cobra bumper, and then the 0304 Mach 1 hood that were already painted dark Highland green off of a bullet that he sold. And so I bought those. So I've got 2 Mach 1 hoods, 2 shakers. Shakers are awesome. That's the hoods. And now we're going to move on to C-pillars. These cars came with 2 different types of C-pillars. So the V6, GT, 9901 Cobra, and 0304 Cobra all came with the same C-pillar covers and glass, and it was a kind of I'll show you here, a quarter of a circle, right? Kind of just wraps down. The 01 Bullet, which had the same hood as the GT, by the way, and the same front bumper. Here's a fun fact for you. The 01 Bullet had the bumper from a GT with the little bars cut out for fog lights, and it had the wiring harness for fog lights, but no fog lights. And so if you wanted to add fog lights to a Bullet, you had to get the fog lights in the brackets, bolt them in, and then take the wire off. And actually, I have one here. I showed this actually in a different video, but this is over the end that's out near the fog light, this little cover, and that protected the weather seal grommet and the ends of the connector. And so you pull that little guy off, and you can plug it directly into the fog lights. And then on the inside of the car, you can pull out the center stack. And I've got other videos. You can go see my other videos about how to do that, and just plug in a fog light button, and the fog lights work. It's really cool. Okay, sorry. Back to the C-pillars. The 01 Bullet and the 0304 Mach 1 had a C-pillar with a kind of a notchback thing. I'll put it on the screen here so you can see it, and then I have a little video kind of showing one after the other. The guys that worked on both of these programs, the guys that did the Bullet program did the Mach 1 as well. And so this was the look they liked. This is the look they went for. This is extraordinarily similar to the 94 through 98 Mustang C-pillar panel. It's not the exact same. The guy over this whole program, his name was Scott Hogue, and he put out a book called Engineering Plus Drive Equals, I don't remember the name of the book. The book is literally sitting in the next room. Let me go get it. Okay, he wrote a book, Engineer Plus Enthusiast Equals Excitement. His name is Scott Hogue. Okay. I thought this was kind of cool. I'm going to show it. It's a fun thing. I've got he signed it. You can see this over there. He signed it. And then this book is, I'm letting it fall apart here. There we go. Number 82 of 300 that were signed. So this is nifty. This is fun. And since I have both of these cars, I have 2 Bullets and the Mach 1, it was fun to have the book. And this sits on my coffee table next to my book about Fender guitars. And so in reading that book, I found out that, okay, they used the same tooling that the company that made the cell panels, the C-pillar panel or cell panel, same thing. The company that made those for Ford still had the molds. They still had the capability to make them. However, they didn't think that the molds were up to the task of making a few thousand more for cars. They thought they were pretty much wore out. And so Scott Hoag's team went in. They didn't say what they did to those molds, but they made some reinforcements. They made some changes. They did some little upgrades. And then they were able to make enough sail panels for the 01 Bullets and 0304 Mach 1s. And then spares. Obviously, there has to be spares. So, could you get away with a 94 to 98 panel on one of those cars? Probably so. I've heard some people say they've done it and it works out perfectly if they needed a replacement. But the 0304 and 01 Bullet sail panels should be ever so slightly different in some way that I don't know than the 94 to 98 panels. Having said that, again, this whole thing's about new edge cars, so you can see, I'll show it again here, you can see the curved shape versus the notchback kind of shape. I really prefer the notchback one. I just think it looks cool. It looks a little more sporty and fun and whatever. And then the glass is different and stuff too. The actual glass itself is not different, but the black baked on dots, the little dot matrix and the black stuff that covers up is a different shape on those. And if I'm wrong on that, tell me. I'm pretty sure the glass is actually the same. The whole piece is the same shape, I think. We talked about all the hoods. The Cobra R hood has the same front profile as a GT hood. You only run into issues with the 0304 Cobra parts. So if you run the 0304 Cobra bumper in a GT hood or a earlier Cobra hood or whatever, you're going to have to push those frame horns back. And if you run an actual Cobra hood or a reproduction that is the same shape as an actual 0304 Cobra hood, then you're going to have a gap between a GT or 01. The GT bumper, V6 bumper, or 9901 Cobra bumper, you're going to have that gap between the horns and the top of the hood, or the front of the hood. And so for those, if you run in one of those bumpers, you really need that Cervini's hood. I think that's how you pronounce it. But you really need that Cervini's hood. It's in supposedly good quality. I want to run one, but it will fit with that bumper better and look proper. The C-pillars, we covered the different bumpers. I'm also going to throw in the Celine bumper and the Roush bumper. So that's what those look like. Those are fun. There's different side scoops and stuff. We'll get the side scoops and all that later. You watch this, you now have a good idea of what you're looking at, what parts swap back and forth. Also those C-pillars, you can swap them back and forth to whatever car. The glass swaps out, the C-pillar swaps, whatever. I've seen people put the notchback Bullet Mach 1 ones on a different car that didn't have the right glass for it, but it looks okay. It's there. You still get the notchback thing, even though the dot matrix on the glass isn't the same. So from inside the car, you might be able to see part of the panel that covers on the outside, but whatever. If it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. If it does, do it the other way. Or don't do it. Whatever. So guys, I hope you like this. Like and subscribe. Check out the merch store. There's a link in my bio and in the video description. Check that out. Buy a shirt. Just help support the channel. That'd be great. I would super appreciate it. Help me not have to go back to the corporate world, because I hate the corporate world and I don't want to go back. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.